Welcome back to the Reverse the Effects of Aging Summit. I am your host, Deepak Saini. I believe that a big part of healthy aging and reversing the effects of aging is knowing about the power of meditation, compassion, and beliefs. I'd like to introduce you to my guest today, Dr. Linda Marsanko. Did I pronounce that properly?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. Linda works and blogs about love, compassion, playfulness, visualization, meditation, and stillness as a road to a joy-filled life. She encourages clients to develop the muscle of meditation and mantra as a support for a disciplined mind. She's a psychologist and spiritual coach who works integratively with clients. She's a healer employing Reiki, vortex, and integrative energy modalities. In her book, The A Train to Sedona, she describes her journey towards love, compassion, and enlightenment. She writes to have her voice heard and inspire others on their way to sharing vignettes and strategies which she finds helpful. And Linda, I'll just also say, has been a podcast guest as well. So I'm super excited to have her here on the summit as well. Linda, thank you for joining us on Reversing the Effects of Aging Summit.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to talk with you again, Deepak.
Yes, it was a pleasure every time we talk. So people may have not seen the podcast episode as of yet. So let's just start with it. How did you fall into the type of work that you do now?
It was after 9/11, and New York is where I live, so I'm very close to that area of the city. I felt bereft, and I joined a local food co-op because I wanted to be part of something bigger than I am and collaborative. And at that time, I also joined a spiritual group where I met people who talked about things that I had no clue about. I had not heard about Saint Germain and so many concepts of Eastern modalities. So I read a lot. And I had an experience where I began to heal myself, resolve conflicts, let go of what doesn't serve me. I had healings from the leader of the group, and I wanted to share my experience and hopefully allow someone to have a more efficient journey than mine. I think of the A train as, actually, it's an express train in New York. I took the local, so I'm hoping that people can benefit from my work to learn some strategies to being loving, compassionate, to heal.
Awesome. And I think those are, again, when I work with people, I call it the first thing I work on people. I call it mindset and motivation, but there's a lot of things on there. And, community, self-love, compassion, our purpose, these all things all fall into that. So, again, that's why I think we resonate so much with each other. What are some practices that, that you feel establish a good foundation of health?
Well, Freud said we need to work and love. I'm saying we need to work, love, and play. And playing is something that I'm continuing to explore because I'm so serious all the time. So sometimes I dance around my home, I crack jokes, I get silly. And we also need to eat properly, fresh foods, less meat, more fish, drink alkaline water, pray, meditate, exercise, develop good sleep habits, develop meaningful relationships, let go of anger, work through fear, because fear grows if we don't work on it and push through it to the other side. Those are a number of things to reduce stress. Prayer and meditation are a very large part of stillness. There's a joke that two Buddhist monks were sitting under a tree and they didn't say anything for 2 hours. So they were asked, well, why didn't you speak? And they said, well, there was nothing to say. So I think that we can learn to listen to our heart and focus on the inner aspects of who we are. That's where the journey is. And that's what prayer and meditation and compassion do for us. They take us to that deeper place within, where love resides, where creator resides. And it is said that creator exists in every electron of our cells. That's a lot of electrons, and that's a
Yeah,
lot of
for sure,
presence.
for sure. Now, Linda, you might have already just touched on this, but in your last response, but let me maybe ask this, and maybe you can expand a bit. We've had some other speakers here talk about meditation, but in your words or your view, what's the true value of meditation?
It's an ultimate mind discipline. So first, we meditate and we get out of the thinking mind. We let the thoughts go, we come back. We let the thoughts go, we come back. And then when we settle in, we start to relax. And this helps our blood pressure. It helps, according to Richard Brown's research, a lot of help to the prefrontal cortex of the brain. Now, after we relax, we can get into a deeper aspect of who we are. We're multidimensional after all. And I can't do this all the time, but when I get deeply into this place within myself, I can hear the voice of God. Most times I'm relaxing, I'm letting go of thoughts, and on that day that I have more time perhaps and my mind is more clear, I go deeper. And then I write something down for myself. So yesterday I wrote down, let go of your fears. Let love be your voice. And I thought that was something I can really pay attention to.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Let's move on from meditation to compassion. I think that's also a big thing here. So let me ask you this question. Does compassion lead to physical and mental health?
I believe it does. So when we think of physical health, I think of, because we're always working on compassion. We're never finished. We have an ego. We're in the third dimension, but we're in compassion ultimately. And we get to a place, I think of it as the portal to get into 0 point, which is paradoxically a quiet and a creative state of mind. And at that point, we can transcend into our higher potentials of our DNA. Now, do I know what those higher potentials are? I do not, but I can only imagine, and it tickles my brain. Now, as far as mental health goes, when I'm in compassion, I have forgiven those who have harmed me. I have resolved conflicts. I've let go of what doesn't serve me. I have faith and knowledge that we're all connected. I'm at peace and stillness. And that is such a mental health recipe.
I love that. And like I said earlier, community relationships, kind of one of the first areas I work on with people. And yeah, I think compassion for others and for ourselves is, or maybe more importantly for ourselves, is important in for, I think, again, healthy aging. Keep it on the same train of thought. Then moving from compassion and its role in both mental and physical health. What about our attitudes and our beliefs? Is that different than compassion? Is that they're related, obviously, or do you see them as different things?
I think of everything as being related. And when I think of attitudes and beliefs, I think of two major writers. One is Bruce Lipton, and the other is David Hawkins. Now, Bruce Lipton, a cellular biologist, says that our genes are merely a blueprint. Through the invisible world of attitudes and beliefs, we can go in and change the expression of the genes. Now, David Hawkins talks about a negative filter through which all of our experiences flow. And he gives an analogy of a boat starting from Southampton in England, going to New York, but it's a few degrees off course. Nobody notices, it's silent, but it doesn't get to New York. It goes either north or south of it. So he goes back to the negative filter. After a time, when all of our experiences are going through this negative filter, all aspects of the body are affected. Hormones, organs, all the meridians, everything. So much so that eventually aches and pains occur, and eventually a clinical diagnosis of a disorder. Now, Hawkins says, if this is true, then if we reverse our thoughts and have positive attitudes and thoughts, health should result. And I believe that's true.
Yeah, I love that analogy. I'm just going to kind of bottom line it for the audience. I think, using that, just a couple degrees off, and I think everyone will understand, right? A couple degrees off over some period is going to make it, it's just going to amplify how far off you are of your destination. So more negative thoughts, I equate to how many degrees off you are than your positive thoughts, the worse and worse it's going to get, or in your mental health, and I think of your physical. And I can't remember, Lynn, I think we did talk about this in our podcast interview, but I believe that some people, their negative thoughts, their resentments to others, unresolved issues, etc., is actually like one of the leading causes of whatever their thing may be. Maybe it's diabetes, maybe it's heart disease, whatever. But I think it's like rooted in these unresolved issues and negative thoughts. And I think we did talk about that before. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think you agreed with me on that one, right?
And I agree with you now.
Yeah.
It causes inflammation, which is the big thing now. The trending thing is inflammation to the most vulnerable part of a person. Something will develop. And, when you think of a negative filter, when you think of resentments, if I'm resenting someone, I'm holding that within myself. That's why it's of utmost importance to resolve. Forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is tricky because we can't just forgive. It's a process very often that something may need to change in our life. We need to think differently. It's important to be working on forgiveness because it sits, anger, resentment sits in ourselves and wreaks havoc.
Yeah. What's the saying? I might be butchering this, and people probably know, but is it resentment or jealousy? Probably a whole bunch of different terms we can use, and saying it's like, taking poison for yourself and expecting the other person to die, right? That, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
I'm totally butchering that. Sorry, people. I think you know what I mean. I think we've heard that, right? Where does compassion, attitudes, beliefs, where does prayer fit into all of this?
When I talk about prayer, I don't think of dogmatic prayers. I think of talking to God as I go through my apartment. Thank you so much for your help. What do you think about this? I have a constant conversation. For me, prayer is a comfort. Now, for people who don't believe in God, they can pray to nature. They can pray to something beyond who they are. And I think it affects our inner health, our blood pressure, so many aspects of who we are benefited from prayer. And also in praying, I know that I'm connected, and that calms me. It relieves me that I'm not alone. And if I'm not feeling so connected, it's because I'm creating a separation. It's me. It's I who's doing that. So I need to get back to my closeness to Creator, who is the most grand partner that I have. So I'm saying that even if if one doesn't believe in a Creator, one can believe in the beauty of nature, the breath of this something beyond who we are, which is very, very pleasant and comforting and connected.
Linda, I want to just paraphrase a little bit here for what I think believe that you're saying here. So regardless if you believe in organized religion or not, or some higher being, what I'm hearing you say, or at least the way I'm interpreting it, is that belief in that higher power is a link to so I'm a huge about again, community relationships is part of like healthy aging.
Yes.
And that's the first step. That connection with that higher power is that first relationship, that first part of your community. And then of course you're going to have then your family and your immediate family, your extended family, your friends, your coworkers, and the community at large. Am I interpreting that right, or is that like how you view it? That's kind of how I'm seeing it.
I think you've beautifully stated it, that the relationship with Creator or with nature, Bringing it in is the first relationship we have. And then we grow it. Friends, family. And we've talked about, as people age, relationships, connectedness is an indicator of better health.
Absolutely.
It's the opposite of being isolated.
Yeah.
People can go out and reach out.
I find this interesting. I didn't think we were going to go here, but it just came to my mind. I just thinking of a few personal examples in my own life. Some, some of my aunts and some, people that are a generation older. It seems like as they've gotten older, and maybe as I was younger, I just didn't see it because my mindset wasn't there. But it seems like some of a generation that's older than me have come to more, in some cases it's true religion, or just let's just call it more spirituality as a different term, as they've gotten older. And I wonder if that's just a natural progression as we get to a certain point and maybe mortality becomes, or it's because they've had loss and that's a way of coping mechanism. I don't know. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why that is. I know that some people don't go to religion as they get older, but I'm thinking now that people raise families, they have a lot to busy them and to distract them during their younger years. And when they get older, there's more time to contemplate, more wisdom. We talk about not being so able to think clearly or remember things rather as we get older, but wisdom increases. And with that wisdom, it might be, well, let me go to church, let me go to synagogue, let me pray more, let me appreciate what I have around me. That could be so.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and again, I'm just going to harp on this one issue. It's third time I think I'm bringing it up is like, I think whatever it looks like for you, and again, it could be to just nature or some unknown higher power, maybe it's organized religion, that I think an aspect of spirituality within ourselves and our surroundings is, again, part of that community, part of our relationships, and is part of the first step of working on ourselves to healthy aging. So
Yes,
I love this conversation that we're having here. So
yes, because when we're more joyful, we're going to age more slowly. So having the ability to be still, to pray, to reach out to friends, to listen to music, to have hobbies, to go to the cinema, if all of those things create joy and there's compassion, we're reaching into so many aspects of what we're talking about: compassion, forgiveness. It's going to affect how our health and how we feel and how we look. I think you might remember this very old film, the picture of Dorian Gray, something of Dorian Gray. So there was a painting of him and he did dastardly things. And the picture changed as he enacted these acts. So we could see on our faces a lot of what we're experiencing. And for us, I think.
yeah, I think I'm gonna take an approach. So I truly believe, kind of, our outside appearance, we can put all the lotions and whatever biohack technologies are, but I think ultimately it boils down from what we're putting in, and our beauty comes from the inside out. That's from a physical point of
Yes.
view. I would
Yeah.
say argue, and I think, and what we've been talking about today is also that glow, the way we present ourselves in the world, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe even to also the physical comes also not from that what we ingest from the inside out, our food, our nutrients, but also from the
Mm-hmm.
beliefs we have, our practices, and that
Yes.
also shines from the inside out as well. I think that's they go hand in hand, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they do.
Yeah.
Day after day, moment to moment, day after day. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Linda, just as we kind of wrap up here, obviously, we've been talking about compassion and meditation and beliefs and all the things, and you've shared, the things that you do. So let's put those aside for a second. What other practices, maybe your top one or two, do you do to reverse the effects of aging for yourself?
There are some meditations that I do that are for the resurrection of the body and the ascension of the body. And that's what I do specifically that I've not included in what I've shared with you earlier. They're meditations from a book called Telos, which is a community on the West Coast in Washington State. And I do pray a lot. So I would say that those, well, I've told you about my praying, but those meditations I find very intriguing and exciting.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. And you also have a gift for all the attendees of the summit today. It's a free ebook, "Compassion in My Own Words," and we're gonna have a links for all of Linda's, how you can connect with her and her socials, and a link for this gift underneath the interview here. But Linda, just and very briefly, what can people expect from this ebook?
So when I first wrote my book, I brought it to publishers and they rejected it. And my first editor said, "You have to have a blog." No, I don't want a blog. I don't want to do that. And then I realized after all the rejections that I needed a blog. Compassion in My Own Words is a compilation of the first year of blogging. And you can see changes in the way that I write. It's fun. It's about over 40 different blogs in that. And it's my early writing, and it talks about music. It talks about a lot of different things. So I think it's a fun thing to download.
Okay, very cool, very cool. And again, yes, definitely download that, as well as all the other speakers gifts as well. And also, I wanted to mention, I think on your again, we'll have your links to your website and everything. There's also a meditation that can be found on your website as well, right? Free meditation that people can download as well.
Yes, they can. It's the meditation from Sedona. What did I call it? It's a Native American.
Earth Sky meditation.
Yes, the Earth Sky meditation. It's lovely, bringing the meditation in from Father Sky and intermingling it with the energy of Mother Earth, and sitting with that and celebrating it. It's just lovely, simple and lovely.
Yeah. So again, everyone go to Linda's website, get that, download the free gift, the link will be right underneath the interview here that you're watching. And again, remember, if you want to listen to this interview with Linda again, or any of our amazing speakers, don't forget to upgrade to the VIP package, so you have all the recordings and the transcripts and some other bonuses, for lifetime. Just $97 during the summit. The price will be going up afterwards. And also, don't forget to check out our amazing sponsors that have allowed this to be a free event for all of you. Companies like STEM Regen and HBot USA. Linda, I want to thank you again for being part of the summit. I always enjoy our conversations. I find them so pleasant. So yeah, thank you again.
And thank you for having me, Deepak. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, the honor's been all mine. All right, everyone. I will see you on to the next interview.
Bye-bye.